Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 352 on deck. Make sure you stay tuned at 7 o'clock. We're going to do this all again. We've never done anything like this before that I can recall, Brian. We're going to be doing two complete shows back to back, knocking everything out. That way everybody gets their due coverage, I guess is the best way to say it. We're going to be doing No Mercy and TJ and everything in 352, and then at 7:15 or so we're going to turn everything back around, reset. We're going to come right back on Facebook, right back on YouTube. We're going to do Spring Explosion and the Unified Point Series stuff. So it's going to be interesting, and like I said, we haven't done it before, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw the advertisement, and I had mentioned to you Monday I wouldn't be able to make it because we were finished up with football and had to take care of some final stuff and with equipment and stuff. And then I see the advertisement, and it's like a show at this time, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. So I was as surprised as anybody else. So yeah, it's going to be neat. It's going to be good to get everything covered. And, I would safely say that the Derby season is pretty much on its way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's in full effect. TJ's hanging out with us here. He's in you're in Upperco right now, right?
Yeah, I actually I was getting ready to test drive a four-cylinder around our figure eight track here, and it stalled on me, or else I'd probably still be out there doing laps.
Well, I think we've got some of the Zoom issues put to bed. So in the event that TJ does drop, we're just gonna kick right back over to a phone call and call it good. But TJ, on the heels of a very, very successful No Mercy weekend in Cumberland, give me some of your thoughts on this one. It was a success by all measures.
Well, my first thought that I can honestly bring up is, I know we tried to set the bar really high for ourselves and trying to live up to a hard-hitting, action-packed Buried Alive in October, to come back to that and try to get the drivers on the same page, trying to make them understand that this is when you come to a dead man show, that this is what happens. Like, it's different. Like, we want you to realize that the pace is going to be different than anywhere else, no matter what class. If it's a boring class somewhere else, it's going to be crazy at Dead Man. And we just continued to praise the drivers, because I believe with all my heart, from first green flag to the final checkered flag, I believe that the action was actually better at No Mercy than it was at Buried Alive. That's my first takeaway.
Well, you certainly threw some curveballs at him, with the Mercenaries getting the time delay. The Mercenary car was the 74 hearse, which was the fastest hearse I've ever seen. and there was the other, I can't remember what the other twist was. It was something with the Fatal Four Ways. The Consi's running in Fatal Four Way fashion with taking one car out of it. That was really cool too. And again, for whatever reason, the industry of demolition derby does not adapt well to change.
No.
And TJ is the only person on the planet, I think, that can throw surprises day of and everybody's cool with it.
Yeah, it's neat how they seem to take the changes in stride there. It's pretty cool.
The other one we tried to do, and it didn't work, and I'll tell you why it didn't work. But the other one we tried to do, which I thought would be hilarious, when I came up with the idea, I told a bunch of people, and I couldn't stop laughing. We tried to do a rolling Utah start with a two-man extreme, and because I just think it's funny, because so many people that were driving in it, I know they didn't test drive. I know it was the first time they'd worked together, and I was like, let's throw a curveball in there and make them do a rolling start. But I knew I was in trouble when I put the first 6 guys in, and I walked up and was like, okay, rolling Utah start, stay to the outside. They're like, wait, what? What is that? And I'm like, oh boy, we are in for it. I went through 6 cars. I just put my hands up and said, guys, I guess we're winging it.
The action certainly setting a bar. We're going to be catching up with guy Raymond, who came up with a win down there. A guy who never wanted to travel anywhere, just went to Maryland and picked up the win. And Cody Riley coming up with a win down there in Cumberland, as we look forward to TJ's next show in Upper Co, the first stage of the 3-part Battle of Upper Co events. So we've got that sitting out there in the wings. Ken Kiskaden, what a run he had in the trucks. Imperial certainly didn't disappoint. It was a great show, end to end. And I know you probably have already started revamping things and how you want to do it different. Did you take a minute or two at least to enjoy some of the success of this weekend?
Well, the funny thing is we had all these plans because I said to the guys, I said, I'm going to try to push the pace on Friday and Saturday and get done early. Well, we pushed it way too fast on Friday, and we were done by 9 o'clock. And I was like, I looked over at the guys, and they're like, this is a great opportunity for us to get some sleep. So everybody just left. And I was like, okay. So then flash forward where we're like, okay, let's drag it out a little bit, give the fans a little bit more time to go out and shop and entertain, and let's make the track perfect. Then all of a sudden the rain came. The last 3 heats go. We're standing there soaking wet, and everybody's like, it is time to go home. So actually, no. And this is actually the first time that I've stopped, and I thank you guys so much for it, because I have not stopped. I actually had to remove all 460 ton of clay. I had to remove it off of the track and clean the entire grounds. I finished that today at noon, loaded the skid steer up and drove down here and started working on this track. And I'll be down here for today and tomorrow. And then I'll go home for one day to start rolling a bunch of apparel and come back down and do the show. So I haven't really had time to enjoy it, but I have had a lot of great people, great responses. The one thing I really enjoy is I'm very much an open book and very open to criticism, because that's the only way you can get better. And I've had a lot of people say, hey, when you get a minute, I have a couple ideas, that could have gone better, or a couple rules that, might need some tweaking. These were consistent problems. And they're speaking to me in a fashion where it's like, it's so respectful, because they enjoy our shows and are like, dude, you're just tweak here, and it's going to keep getting better. So I've been listening to a lot of those as I've been traveling around and stuff. And that's been great, because, if you're not willing to learn and progress, you're going to die off. And with us trying to be as fresh as we are all the time and change things up, it's really nice to get that feedback. So I've just been soaking it all in, just listening to what people have to say.
So you caught me a little off guard. Is the track where you ran the Derby, is that an asphalt track and you put clay down on top of it, or it was just a normal track and you still put clay down on top of it?
Long story short, the facility there has very strict rules as to what exactly the facility has to look like after I'm done. And they had never had a renter actually bring in clay to make their own racetrack. And there's just really strict rules. I mean, it's a bunch of really stupid stuff, a bunch of hoops you have to jump through. But they basically said it's got to go back to exactly how it was when you left. And I begged and pleaded and said, can we please just, make the first, the bottom lane, can we just, instead of Jersey barriers, like we do a square berm there, let's just square it off and make the whole front stretch 460 ton clay. So when them cars come off there, if they hit it, they hit dirt and not a Jersey barrier. And I think I almost had them convinced, but I had to move it. I basically had to move it across the railroad tracks back in the woods. And it was a pain in the butt, but we finally got it done.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's a lot of hauling.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of money too. I mean, you're paying an operator for the for the dump truck. You're paying an operator for the excavator and everything like that, just to move dirt, an eighth of a mile.
That's crazy. And with the price of fuel today, that's absolutely insane.
Right. That still isn't the first time we've heard of stories about that. A lot of the times when we go places that are derbies, especially with the instances in Utah and the instances in Florida, the horse arenas are very particular about what you do to the surface. And that's one of the reasons why some of those horse arena-based derbies, not so much with the debris that's left in the track, but before you get there and the track maintenance becomes such an issue because you can't mix anything into the clay. You either have to take it off and keep it protected or bring different clay in and everything. There's so many nuances of that, and I guess a racetrack really isn't necessarily any exclusion to that when you figure the amount of money that someplace like Land of Legends or Outlaw Speedway has invested in their track surface, and that's where they're going to make their money all year long, not just on a single night. So,
Yep.
I mean, I can kind of see where they're going with that.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, we don't want to be the cause for a super late model to come off that turn at 120 and hit a rock that was in my clay, which our clay does not have rocks in it. We found, I think, 3 rocks the entire time we were doing the 460 ton. But I don't want to be the cause of a guy going off in the turn and wrecking because of a piece of metal from a bumper or anything. So we scraped and scraped and scraped and scraped and made sure that it was perfect. And basically, I looked at them and I said, "Am I done?" And they're like, "Yep." And I just I think I jumped 10 feet in the air. Thank God I'm out of here.
That's awesome.
Well, I'll take you through the outcome of the 2021 No Mercy event. On the team side of things, the compact Team Send It, ended up taking the win over Team Creeping Death. Team Creeping Death, that was Johnny Schmidt's team, 1158. We've talked with him a couple times before. The Reaper, and that was Eric Sweet. The Pro Stock side of things, we're going to talk with Cody Riley here in a few minutes. Bill Close and Brady Allen filling out the top 3. Chris Woodworth, I believe that's the Chris Woodworth that has won the Northeast Championships a couple times from up in Massachusetts. Coming on fourth, the Reaper was Jared Cannon. Compact number 1, Matt Davidson. Matt is a name that we know from the battles in Woodstock. I believe he got a win several years ago back at Cass in the Valley, if I'm not mistaken. Bill Aldinger and Nathan Wenzel through the top 3 there. Guy Raymond over Alex Keaton and Rob Mack in the other compact feature. Minivan side of things, Ronnie Roach getting the win over Jackson Salisbury and Jordan Cook. Jackson Salisbury with second, also taking home the Reaper Awards. Truck side, Tracy Myers taking the win over Charles Kaiser and Ted Kiskaden. The Reaper Award went to Andrew Arnold. The Imperials, Austin McCurdy got the win there over Mel White and Steve Siopa. Jamie Double got the Reaper Award in the Imperial Division. On the mercenary side of things, Ken Kiskaden taking the win over Kenny Marsh and Brett Niner. Brett Niner in third place. He got the Reaper Award as well. Youthful size, that was Jake Schaller and Nevin McMullen. Second place, Mason Stacy and Cam White. Third place was Cole Teets and George McMullen. Wheelman Award went to Kaylee Oglesby. Youth Compact was Mason Stacy, Marissa Yeager, and Tanner Neihart to the top 3. Alyssa Kreiser taking the Wheelman Award in the Youth Compact. And in the two-man side of things, Jess McBriar and Sean Hartman got the win over Rob Olhisney and Nick Patrick. And then Dustin Halbert and Don Halbert teaming up for third. The Reaper was Lynn Kennel and Travis Kennel. That's your outcome there for the entirety of No Mercy. And Ken Kiskaden, he had a great run. I watched a little bit of that. Guy Raymond, he picked up the win there. That was a good one to see. It just really, when you look at that list and you look at the number of cars that went through that weekend, I don't see any repeat names.
Yeah, no, there was it was definitely, sounded like there was a lot of stiff competition. I talked to Steve and Mark Siopa a little bit after, and like I said, I told you before we went on air, Friday night I was watching my brother run out to Bristol on the dirt, and then Saturday we had a football game. So waiting for Alex to get the video up on YouTube so I can check it all out. But like I said, I'd seen a bunch of pictures, and I talked to Todd or Steve and Mark, and everything I've seen, it looked like it was a pretty wild night.
One of them lost a wheel in the
Steve did.
Steve did.
He said he still had a lot to go. He said ended up losing hub and wheel and the whole thing, so that's what cost him at the end.
Still got it to third.
Yeah. Mark broke a transmission, so.
Thoughts
Really
out
early.
to Joey.
Yep.
Joey Pernice, he had emergency appendectomy. So I'm glad he's doing well.
Light duty, back to work on light duty, which I think is probably cleaning out Mark's truck and maybe walking Todd's Rottweilers, something along those lines. That's he works for Todd, so.
Did you ever have your appendix out?
No, thank God.
Light duty is doing nothing for a couple days.
My father in the 60s, his appendix burst and then formed a cyst. and he was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. And they told him that if the cyst would have ruptured, he would have died. He had a paper wrote about him, and he said it was bad. He said he got to where he was like walking around like the Hunchback in Notre Dame, and wasn't good. But no, thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't had that joy.
It's that surgery is not fun. It's not fun at all. Good news for both Laylee and Gracie. The Remington girls both had some stuff going on, but it looks like both of them are both in good shape. When it comes to Lindsay and Eric, man, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But they got it turned around. I saw there was a bunch of babies born, a bunch of grandfathers. A bunch of Derby dads just became grandfathers. Ian Doyle, he made the trip out to Indiana to do some RC Derby action out there. And then Jake, I think, was it yesterday or today was his birthday?
Really?
I believe so. Yep, it was busy. I saw Mad Mike was posting a bunch of pictures of stuff over the weekend. It's like you said, it's very much Derby season right now.
That's for sure.
We've dove right in. TJ, that you talked about that pace going a little bit faster than you had anticipated. The 5 compact heats went through in less than an hour.
Yeah, that was wild. I would have never anticipated them going so quick. I know that when we did the drivers meeting and when we did the draw, there were 2 teams that drew each other. I'm pretty sure they went back and flipped the coin and decided who was going to shut off for who. And I think that happened twice, and sent some cars into the long way into the Concy. There was another team where one guy's car just didn't start, and they had to go in 3v2, and the captain chose to have them, make a quick hit and shut off. So that kind of happened. But then the action when the cars were there was insane. The first heat was like, man, you guys are going to kill each other and you have nothing left. And the guys from Ohio, Amateur Hour, from New York, they came down. They had a great heat. Creeping Death had a great heat. It was wild. I think the format worked. I think one of the things I want to change with them is I want to give them unlimited 9-wire to help them out. You start giving unlimited 9-wire, it starts getting a little scary. But what ended up happening is everything got torn apart so bad, and then the consolation was a feature. But I actually said, listen, we need to give these guys some order. So I actually went back to my house. I sent my buddy Mark and said, please go to my house, grab every fix-it plate that I have in my garage and bring it. And he was like, are you serious? And I'm like, every single one of them. And we gave 2 more fix-it plates to every driver in that so they could help put their car back together. We allowed them to split them and everything like that. And I think that made for a better feature as it went. But it was an excellent pace. That's something that we will continue to bring back for sure.
What could you do with the fix-it plates? Some of the trips to Topeka, we've seen some creative use of fix-it plates. The only thing that you couldn't do with one of the fix-it plates, one of the years that we were out there, was roll it into a tube and use it as a pin. Anything else could go. And boy, did anything else go change the definitions of what was intended there.
Yeah, some guys, you tell guys, hey, don't mess with this. Try not to. Try to be good. And they're going to mess with you, and they're looking you dead in the eyes, and they're shaking their head like they understand. And the whole time, all they're doing is thinking how they're going to beat what I just said. And I'm like, I totally understand what you're going to do. Like, let's keep it clean. Let's try to keep it close. And, a couple guys, did a couple things where we were like, that's not a loadable offense here, because our retech is pass or fail. When it come to feature, it wasn't a big deal. We had tried to keep the plates separate, keep them an inch apart. I think moving forward, we won't worry about that, but we just didn't want to make them cars not be able to come run Upperco. We didn't want them to be able to not come back in the fall and run, Buried Alive if they had something left over. But usually what I allow, like, I'm pretty much, hey man, do whatever you want with it. If you want to bend it into a 90-degree angle, go for it. If you want to, so basically they told me to shut up, and Ryan said, no, this is the rules. Because if you do that, we're going to have tanks out here. And I'm like, okay, so you make the rule. And he said, they got to be flat. They got to be flush. Unless they're on the body, keeping the body together, then you can do whatever you need to do those. But I've seen some wicked stuff. I've seen people make kickers out of 9-wire. I've seen just crazy stuff, and that's why it's just, as a promoter, it scares me to give too much.
Right.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty neat stuff done with fix-it plates. That
What's your favorite? I know what you're going to say.
I've seen some guys use fix-it plates as pins without rolling them. Mm-hmm. That's pretty neat.
What about, well, I guess, what's the most creative that you've seen?
Well, we've seen guys cut them up into chunks and,
Yep.
and weld the length of the frame. We've seen that a time or two. Yeah. It's good that the officials and the promoters let the guys have the fix-it plates for the features, but sometimes the drivers outthink things pretty good. Right. So
the one that I had in mind was I was kind of leading you there because we've talked about it so many times, was the car that Steve Siopa brought to, I believe it was either the Keystone Nationals or it was the show that was held the week before. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a 4x6 fix-it plate, so it was 24 square inches. So it was cut into 24 square inches. And, and then like checkerboarded along the
That
was pretty creative.
Yeah,
it did not get through.
There's some good thinking that goes on, man. There's some guys that really put a lot of thought in that stuff.
For sure, it was very, very good. For the response at Upperco, has it gone up in the last couple of days since everything concluded down there in Cumberland?
Yeah, we have the winning team. They're coming, which is awesome. I think I was getting a little worried. I was worried. It's a small event. This place. It's a small event, and we taking it over, trying to build it up, and we know it's going to take some time. But it's really started to take off. I think we're going to end up with a nice little car count. I know the figure eight racing is going to be a lot of cars, but as far as the Derby side of it, I really do think we're going to grab a lot from No Mercy. I think we're going to have at least 15 compacts from No Mercy come. Is one of the big reasons why we added a second heat to No Mercy. Give them, because you're kind of hoping, as a promoter, you want to see everybody have a good time, but the first thing that happens in your head when a guy gets shoved on the wall really early, you get on the radio and be like, "Hey, somebody make sure you talk to him about Uppercut."
Absolutely. They call that planning ahead.
He's not doing anything else. Why not?
Yeah,
Captive audience, right?
Wash it off and bring it back.
Cody Riley joining.
Come take some frustration out at Uppercut next week.
Right on. Cody Riley joining us online. Cody picking up the win on the pro stock side of things. Huge win for Cody. Cody, man, congratulations. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's unbelievable. I was heading to Maryland thinking that it was going to be tough to get through Tech, and they were. It was rough for me. They when they say numbers, there's a lot of numbers they mean. I go to a lot of places, and the numbers don't mean a whole lot. And they meant, the number they meant is what they meant. Your dash bar had to be 5 inches away from that protector firewall. The hump, they meant every measurement, the bumper height and all. I've been to a lot of shows, and that stuff doesn't really matter. And hats off to them guys for doing that, making it fair. And
Tell me a little bit about your expectations. Your cars always say underbuilt on them, and generally they're not underbuilt.
That was actually sarcastic. We came up with that 7-8 years ago, and just to be sarcastic. It seems like every time I go somewhere I got to cut, but that's just how I am. I overbuild, knowing I got to cut, and I've never ran for TJ. I mean, it's his second show, and I was nervous. I didn't know what they were going to let go, what they weren't, and I was nervous if I'm saying it's just too much and to load it back on the trailer,
So we got to know Cody a little bit from running around here, running at Yates County, and then branched out and did some other things. We saw him take a car to the weld class at Bachelor Cash a couple years ago, brought that car home and picked up a win. Was it at San Filippo in the mod class?
Yeah.
At San Filippo. So, I mean, running up the ladder, going from local to regional, and now branching out to some of these bigger shows. I mean, what was your confidence level going in? I know you're not sure what to expect and things along those lines, but in terms of you and your confidence level, you've got a couple high-profile runs under your belt. You've put together a couple of these heavier cars before. What were you expecting out of it past the inspection stuff?
My confidence level is pretty high. I just, I feel as if I, built a decent car and I had the equipment to do so. And a lot of it's luck, I just put a lot of time and quality into my stuff, and so I feel like I have, just as good a chance as anybody else does. And
How tough was it to pick up the win in that feature? I mean, was there a turning point at all through that where you looked at the field and said, you know what, this might be mine?
Well, so Brian France, Justin, my cousin, Zach Small, we were all in the feature. Me and Justin got let in 5 minutes in for being reapers during the heat, and it wasn't 3 minutes into the feature. Zach was on the wall. Justin lost the axle, and all that was going through my head is now I'm alone, and I just drove. I had no choice but to just pick my shots and just do what I knew I had to do, and it got down to about the 6 of us, and at that point I was feeling way better. As I seen a lot of steering broke. Alan, his wheel was broke off. I mean, a lot of motors were steaming. So, I mean, at that point, it was just a matter of me just not getting hung up or getting thrown out for not hitting.
What was the package that you had? What was the engine and was transmission combination, stuff like that? What did you have?
So, I actually built a brand new 9-inch. I built that myself. 35 spine axles, nodular center section, 486 gears. The motors I built myself. That's a 4.8 LS, carb rated. I run it on, half and half 110, half 93 pump gas. Transmission's built by Joe Wilcox. Got red line clutches and all that stuff. And the 2500 stall converter, steel bell, steel tail, steel tranny brace.
Very good combination.
Yeah,
I mean that's
obviously it worked well,
right? I was very happy to see Brian France back on the track.
Yeah, we haven't seen him run in a while.
It's been quite some time. It was good to see him back out there, and that was neat. Did the weather at all play with your mind at all in terms of grip, gearing, tire selection? Did you have to change anything before you encountered some of the weather?
Well, I did. I checked the weather a lot this week prior to going. I usually run 513 gears, and I decided to back it down a little bit just because of that. I've ran a couple shows where it's been wet, and I can't hardly move. And it happened to be down in Burlington, Pennsylvania last year. I had too much gear, too small tires. After seeing watching the videos of last year in Cumberland in October, the Dead Man Show. I mean, the track's really hard, and it's not really slick. He keeps it pretty dry, so it's not, it's very fast paced. So I knew I'd be fine Friday for the heat with solid fork truck tires on the back, which I ran. And then obviously Saturday we knew it was going to rain, so I upgraded or put 23s on, foam filled 23s, be a little heavier, so it's a little heavier in the back of it, and it worked well for me.
It's a little different than getting ready to run at Penn Yan, isn't it?
It is. We spent a lot of time. I went through tech. I was in line at 9:30. Tech line was a little rough. It was a couple hours sitting in line, waiting to get in line, and I got my list to cut and stuff, and I had to be back in line by 3 o'clock, retech by 3 o'clock. Well, I got back in line in the barn, the last one through, and I was at 2:59.
Oh man!
Wow,
it was close. And
That's
I
got to
had
be
a lot of
close.
stuff to change. I tried something different with the back bumper. Obviously, the inspectors didn't like that so much. I had to change a bumper. I had to cut some of my firewall out. Like I said, when they say 5 inches, they meant 5 inches. They didn't mean 4.5. They didn't mean 4 3/4. They meant 5 inches. So if you couldn't get 5 inches, you had to start cutting stuff out of the way.
That's good though. Like you said though, I mean, it's good when the officials keep everything that close and that even across the board. I mean, then it's you know that everything's pretty fair and it's going to be decided on the track as it should be.
It is, there's, like I said, there's been plenty of shows I've been to that they're not that, they like to see a space there. Well, when he says it, that's what he means. I asked a lot of questions about it. I mean, I'm not one to argue with officials. I obviously know I build cars more than what they should be for a show, and a lot of people do that. And I expect to go cut. I just, the tech was very good, and they meant everything they put in the rules. So, I mean, hats off to them.
You said you lost steering in that?
No. When it come down to fifth or sixth, close junior there, I knew his steering was messed up a little bit.
Gotcha.
I know Alan Boy, his wheel was off. So obviously, once we got down to about 6 cars, I was feeling pretty good. I could move real well. The motor wasn't hot. My training was fine. I didn't have no loose wheels, so I could steer fine. So, like I said, at that point, I just had to make sure I didn't bury myself in the wall or get hung on another car or take a stupid shot.
Gotcha. So, is there more trips to Maryland in your future at this point?
I am. I'm registered for October show, which I will be there for that. I probably will take my Pro Stock car back with me.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Like I said, I like faster paced shows. I mean, the show was awesome for what I got to see of it. Saturday we spent all day fixing cars to get them in the feature, and I had a ton of help. Without the help, I would have never got there. I had 7 people cutting and grinding and re-welding stuff on the car for 4 hours straight on Friday to get it into the heat, and then another 4 hours on Saturday trying to get it back to the way I wanted it. So.
It's crazy, man. The amount of work that goes into these things is just insane. I mean, it's I wish more people could see behind the scenes and see what these guys do between the heat and the feature.
Tell us a little bit about what the pits were like, TJ, on Saturday. I mean, it was just judging by the amount of carnage from Friday, the amount of work that had to be done, and the way that Cody described tech inspection. It sounds like it was time was at a premium, and everybody that had a welder was finding new best friends.
Yes, absolutely. Somebody actually came up to me and said, "Hey, do you know anybody here that might have a welder?" I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, there's I think like 230, maybe 300 people here that do." I was like, "I'm sure you'll be okay." And I was like, I hate to. Sometimes I can be a little sarcastic, and I try not to. And I apologize. Like, I know that guy over there does. Like, I know that you guys check him out. But I was really overwhelmed emotionally because I put my heart and soul into this kind of stuff, and seeing the tech line the way it was, just backed up. It was the first time we'd actually seen our tech line like really far backed up. Looking at the names and the quality of build that's in the tech line, and then I'm like, man, I really wish we had our old tech barn, because a lot of people don't know they turned our old tech barn into a COVID testing center. So our other tech barn is probably as big as a football field, and it's all covered. It's beautiful. It's huge, and we were under, maybe a 40-yard by 30-yard little barn with 2 lifts in there, and it was tight, and we were on top of each other, and we had a lot of awesome cars coming through. But man, when after the heats and everything and beating and banging, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love just sitting there and just listening to everybody work on their cars, the scramble, the mad rush. People are going over to parts vendors and wiping them out. People are buying bumpers because, a bumper broke. So they're going over and buying a bumper off Casey Smith. They're going over here and buying a gas tank off Jeffy. I mean, they're getting new wheels from Ruts Fab. I mean, they're going everywhere. The chaos was awesome to get to watch it. And I do want to say, as a promoter, you really wish for the best outcome, and I honestly think that Cody is a well-deserved and awesome, humble champion. I could tell that it meant something for him to win my show, which meant something to me because he considered our show something that was special for him to win, which is awesome. So I shout out to him. Handled himself awesome. great dude. I hope he comes back.
Well, I already said, he's
back in
planning on
October.
doing it, and I got to kind of agree there. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find a guy that's more humble and kind of, I guess soft-spoken. Cody doesn't get really excited about anything. He talks about not arguing with promoters. There's been a lot of times where the guy in front of him had to cut stuff, and Cody had to cut twice as much, and Cody's like, okay. And just,
he's come up the right way. I mean, he didn't just go out and buy a bunch of big dollar stuff and start out. I mean, he started out, running all the low dollar, the county fairs and picking and choosing. And I mean, he's done it right over the years. He's accumulated, some nice equipment, and he's taken his lumps. I mean, he's went to Bash where everybody takes lumps at Bash.
Right.
I mean, you go to some big shows and you take your lumps and you learn to move on. So it's great, and I mean, obviously, we're a little bit biased, but it's great to see New York guys go out of state and win. I mean, that's we've always said, or I've always said that there's guys here in New York that can run with anybody. And when we have guys that go out of state and win, it kind of proves it. So
there's a lot of guys that we knew that ran down there.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yes.
I saw Carl Schaller was in the chat, and his boy was one of them that picked up a win. And Carl was Ramrod in Pennsylvania for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing him doing battle with Brent Kirshner and Mike Klinger at Kempton Fair. Mm-hmm. Years and years ago, just doing DVDs and stuff, and we did some shirts for him and did some signs for the boys and stuff. It is really, really good to see all of the times that we've said, you guys can go out and do this. For dozens of drivers. Not at all trying to take credit for this.
Yeah.
Don't take it wrong. But
it's great to see it.
Finally seeing this come to pass. And Cody's one of them. And we've seen Ken perform on a high level plenty of times, but to see him come away with a win there. Mm-hmm. And Guy, too. Guy's been an adamant compact guy. Compacts don't get the respect that they deserve. And that dialogue for a long, long time. But he's never had the money, never had the chance to go out of town. We're going to get a chance to talk with him here in just a few minutes. Cody, tell us a little bit about how this compares on the landscapes of your career and what this might lead to for you in terms of branching out and running some other shows, in addition to going back in October.
Well, so I pretty much I ran a lot of shows in the last 12, 13 years. I've been running derbies, and I'm finally, I'm ready to step out and just go into these bigger shows, and that be it. I've had enough of the county fairs. It's not that I feel like I just don't belong there anymore. I'm past that level that I just feel like it's time to move on. No Mercy being that big of a show, a payout. I've been chasing that for a long time, and I finally got that. So I have plans to run in Iron City Promotion Show. Steve, I opened them down in near Pittsburgh there. I'm obviously going back to No Mercy in October. Especially guys that they like to put drivers and put on a good show and do what TJ and his crew does is just, it's great. The rule package for his classes is spot on for me. I love the car build. I love how he gives you an option. And I don't know if anybody has read the rules that hasn't ran there, but he gives you. You have the option. You have the option to build the car. You don't. It's not telling you where to put this or where to put that or how to put it there. He gives you the option of where to put it, and I love that. I've seen so many different people put plates in different spots. I've seen, the hump plates can be moved forward, backwards, however you want. It's awesome that he can do that, and that's a big thing for me.
We gotta shift gears here quick, Cody. We appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little bit. Do you have anybody that you want to make mention of before we let you go? My whole team for all the help this weekend. My girlfriend, Jeffy. Anytime I need something, Jeff shoot me. It's out in the mail the next day. My Uncle Dave and my Aunt Sandy, the sponsorships of the shops and all that stuff, and I just thank everybody and thank TJ for putting on a hell of a show. Awesome. Well, Cody, man, congratulations. Well deserved. look forward to having more of these conversations here in the not too distant future.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chris.
Take it easy. We'll see you. That goes Cody Riley. I see our live chat is hopping tonight, and I hope that it's just as busy for the second show. Yeah, if we do that, we'll be at 400 in no time. Do that the rest of the way for 2021. Lost my train of thought.
Too many concussions.
Yes, it's been a lot.
Amen.
Double digits. Christy Germain is in the chat. She's sort of directing traffic for us. Appreciate it. I'm not watching it as close as I typically would because we got a lot of screens open right now. I really don't know why the thing hasn't fallen on his face like it was last week, but I'm not going to ask any questions.
Because I bring the good luck with me.
Yeah, that's what it is. But she, we heard Jeffy get mentioned there a minute ago, and she and Jeffy were on commentary with Ben for a long time on the track shot presentation of the show. And then Alex Vasco, I think he's going to be having additional footage and stuff uploaded here to go back. So either way, we've got a couple on-demand options for that stuff. And we're going to be getting to Guy here in just a few minutes. We have been talking about this, and it is now officially about 30 days away. Bash for Cash 2021 right around the corner at the Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio. Kicker class, $10,000 to win. Turn back the clock, $10,000 to win. Both those are going to be one and dones. Taking about 40 cars for those. Compacts, $10,000 to win. Pro Stocks, $10,000 to win. $2,000 to win each of the standalones. Frank the Tank Old School Wire Class is going to be the headline on Saturday. Youth Small Cars, Street Stocks, the Relic Class is going to be 63 and older now. A little bit of a change there. 3 one and dones for the 80s Wire Class, the Super Stocks, the full-size trucks, and the compact trucks. All that online, smashitderby.com for additional details. May 28th through 30th, 2021. Smash It Derby for Bash for Cash details. And then the week after, kind of like what TJ's doing, they're going to go crazy 2 weeks in a row, June 5th and June 6th, the Street Stock Madness. That's at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Gates at noon both days. On the 5th, the Derby's at 6. On the 6th, the Derby is at 3. 4-man teams, they're taking 20, 6,000, 3,000, 1,600 back through the top 3. The Pro Stocks are 40 entries, 4,000, 2,000, 1,000 for the top 3. Full-size street stock, compact street stock, mini van, mini SUV, mini truck, 30 entries per class, 1,000 to win for all of those. Again, additional details are available online at smashitderby.com. Unified Point Series, getting ready to gear up here again this weekend, April 30th and May 1st. That is Wicked's Urban Destruction in Evansville. Looking forward to that one. And then we're going to see Toast again at River City Rampage in Henry, Illinois on the 7th and 8th of May. The 15th is Hardcore's May Meltdown, kicking off the Hardcore Series. Smash It's Bash for Cash and the Street Stock Madness shows both on the schedule. Hardcore's back in back in the driver's seat June the 12th with Destruction on the Knob. Then Toast back there with Bartholomew County Fair, Rouse Promotions, June the 26th. The couple shows in, we'll break up this log jam in points. We can't show the 97-way tie for first right now.
Yeah, it's all hard to do. Two shows in.
It's a little busy, but in Mark Elliott's own words, that a couple shows in, that tie will break like glass. So we'll be watching that. Also in parallel with that, with the 527 Unified Series, the Virtual Unified Point Series, there's a several-way tie for first after 2 events are in the books. The Wall Rocker is going to be having a Virtual Unified Point Series event Friday and Saturday. Looking forward to getting that one in the books, and then we're going to kick off with a bunch of shows in May as well. So that also is going to break up like glass, as I anticipate. We have one more event tour to talk about. Stay up to date online, hardcorederbypromotions.com. We talked about them. May 15th is the May Meltdown, and then June the 12th is Destruction on the Knob. You can see TJ over here to the side. He was holding up his shirt so everybody could see it. I don't know if we can get that up here real quick. There it is. He's showing everybody his hardcore shirt. There it is. Mayhem on the Mountain on the 26th. The 10th is of July is Destruction on the Knob, part of 3 shows for the month of July. King of the Hill at Jacktown on the 24th, the 29th, August 3rd and August 6th is Destruction in Dunbar. Chaos in Cole County on the 13th, 14th, and 20th is Washington War Zone. And then you can see the rest of the schedule there. That all feeds into the September 25th and 26th final confrontation. Dunbar, Pennsylvania, $10,000 to win, $3,000 Mad Dog presented by Jeffy's Fab Farm. Stay up to date with all that online, hardcorederbypromotions.com. Told you about him a minute ago. Jeffy's Fab Farm is an industry leader in all manner of purpose-built demolition derby parts, starting with rear ends in '06. The Fab Farm expanded to headers in '08, and the shop can boast a combined 70-plus years of mechanical skill. Jeffy's Fab Farm specializes in LS conversions and conversion components with consistent feature wins across North America. Your turnkey solution is only a phone call away. Every time I read that line, it reminds me of talking about one of the repair shops down in Romulus that used to sponsor Seneca County Fair. It was their line was like that too. It might have been Bill Crams. Your new GM solution is only a phone call away. I remember stuff like that. Jeffy's Fab Farm has a Camarina box campaign to set you up for success with a real-time price of $525.
That's great.
You need to make sure you ask about the multi-fit shifter options, and you're going to find fuel and air parts, suspension and transmission items, steering components, pedal switches, and gauges if you need it. It's online, Jeffy's Fab Farm, jeffysfabfarm.com. Rounding it out, Smith Metalworks, they were down there as part of this one this weekend as well. Online, smithmetalworks.info. In-person locations in Mercer, Uniontown, and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Smith Metalworks is an all-purpose fab shop that has taken the Northeast by storm. They can feature more than 40 years of fine metalworking experience. The hallmark of the product line is the pointed and flat front bumpers. They've got the super stock releases. They all mimic a factory release from some point. You'll recognize it as soon as you see it. They can be run stuffed or hollow. There's a compact version of the pointed bumper. Other items include Crown Vic door skins, battery boxes, engine mounting systems, pedal combos, and shifters. They have all the odds and ends that you're going to need, such as distributor clamps and weld-in centers. Be sure to ask about the GM floor liner, smithmetalworks.info. So there's that. TJ was laughing a lot. What's all the giggles?
I'm just a nut. I'm sorry. You can't. I'm sorry, but I do have to say this. Shout outs to Canada. Christy and Devin were there over the weekend. Chris, if you ever need help with sponsor reads, the greatest thing that happened over the weekend for me was that my wife handed the sponsor reads over to Christy Germain, and she killed it.
Sure
the
did.
whole week. I mean, nonstop, just plug and plug and plug and plug. And she's so in tune with the sport. It's so easy for her. And Chris, you give Christy a mic. She's going to perform. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much. But, yeah, if you ever need somebody to do that, she is your woman, 100%. Can't wait for the hardcore tour coming up. It was awesome to be standing across from two other awesome promoters, Devin Germain, for Impact Motorsports in Canada, and Frankie Guy standing opposite of me, along with my awesome Dead Man crew headed up by Dominic Fabry and Jacob Gilliam. But to stand across from two other promoters that I respect was a huge moment for me. Promoters working together for the greater good of our drivers and making sure that we continue to progress the sport together. It was absolutely awesome.
Awesome. We got Guy Raymond waiting in the wings. Guy, man, how are you?
I'm all right. How about you, Chris?
We're doing okay, man. Congratulations on the win. It's got to be feeling pretty good to bring that home. I know you sunk a lot of time into that car.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun building the car. You know, it was one of those where everybody told me I was wasting my time, but it definitely paid off.
You used to tell me that half the fun was wrecking the car, and now you're building cars that are so big. Do they even get wrecked in one run anymore?
Well, this car, I could run it again, but the way it bent, it was kind of, I don't know if I even trust running it again, because I don't want to ruin the motor. The motor I have in it has already been pretty good and faithful to me, so I don't know if I should run it again or not.
Guy's another guy. Spent a lot of time at Broome County down at Whitney Point, came up through the county fair circuit and kept saying, you know, I don't know. And again, the same story. It's like your driving style fits with some of this bigger stuff. If you get the chance to get out and try it, and with everything shutting down last year, it kind of forced Guy to go travel a little bit. Went down to Burlington, made the trip down to, I think he went down to Markleysburg, PA too, if I remember right. And then he told me
Big Diamond.
Big Diamond, and then he told me he was going to go to No Mercy, and it's like this could be something big for you, and it turned out great. Tell me about the run itself, about the weekend.
Okay, it all started out. I'm going to go back a year ago. I was going to go down to Chaos,
right,
in the Valley, down in Virginia, but with COVID and my wife's job, we couldn't go there. So I figured, okay, I'll save my money up. And then October come around, and I seen Buried Alive. I'm like, you know, that's still kind of close to home, but not too far. It's about 4.5 hours. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try that out. And I know they approached it as a heavy hitter show. but I wanted to challenge myself because I'm more of a methodical type driver. You know, I look for good shots, and you know, I try to go for the W all the time. I'm not going to lie about that. If I sandbag a little bit, I sandbag, but I'm the guy that tries to win the show. And I'm like, it's out of my element. Let's try it. If I can get through inspection, or at least registration was the hardest part, you know, because the first show filled up in like, I think 11, 14 minutes, somewhere around there. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to have a second heat. I go, okay, well, I'm going to try this. So I did the paperwork, and I sent it all in, and it looked like by the registration I was 16 of 25 within 4 minutes. I was like, wow, okay, I made it through registration. Now it's time to build a car. So I pulled a car in here that was supposed to go somewhere else, but they changed the rules for it because I swapped the motor out, and where we were going to run it was factory motors only. And I'm like, well, I can't run a 4-cylinder Avalon because they don't come with 4 cylinders. So I talked to that promoter, and he changed things up, and we ended up pulling the team out. And being because of the COVID, I saved my money up, and I was able to go to No Mercy. And just getting the way to go there, I got to thank my little buddy Tyler Eaton. He hauled me down. Like I said, just getting in, getting the car ready, and getting there was a challenge. And then when I got there, there was guys I haven't seen in over a year because of COVID. Some of my friends were there, and it just, I don't know, like I said, it was a good fit, you know. Even though the driving style is a little different than what I'm used to, I'm not that type of guy to just hold it to the wood. I think it still turned out to be a pretty decent show. You know, I kept my nose clear at the beginning of the heat, and as the heat went on, I slowly picked it up as I went on, and the less cars there was, the harder I drove. And then when it came down to 3 or 4 cars left, I went back to the beginning stages of taking it slow and methodical, you know. That's just the way I guess that's the way I was raised and the way I watched the guys drive. And when you got 10, 12 guys on one dude and that guy comes out on top, that piques my interest. It's not the guy that's going to go out there and just track somebody. That's just not my style.
TJ, did you have to go out and tell anybody you picked the pace up all weekend? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember any of that happening.
In one of the fatal 4-ways, I walked out and told 2 guys we're not here to do donuts, and that was the only time I said anything all week.
Pretty nice.
That's cool. It's always good when that happens.
It's
nothing against those guys, just not my style. And I think it was an awesome show from beginning to end. I have to say that was one of the best shows I've ever been to. You know, I loved it. It was, I have to say, hard hitting and try to stay out of the way from people. That was the next problem. Trying to stay out of the way, and some of those guys, they just did not care. They're wide open. You know, it was, like I said, a great show to watch, awesome show to watch. I loved every aspect of it. That 2-man extreme ending was great. The hype up to that mercenary was awesome. Everything about the show was awesome.
Does this change your 2021 plans? Are you going to stay close to home? Or are you going to try and travel a little more?
I don't even really know what my plan is, because last year it mixed everything up. And I do plan on running a few shows close to home. Like I have one coming up this weekend. It's a car I've ran a few times. I'm just going to go. I try to keep myself in the seat, even if it's not a show that really matters. I still try to stay in the seat. And then there's a couple other shows like RE and Kings of Old School and a few of the better shows in New York State, we'll say. I plan on hitting. To travel like that again, I might have to save up a little bit more money to travel again. You know, and that's the hardest thing. Is I hate to tell people that, but it's hard to come up with the money to travel like shows like that. Like I said way back on the first show I was with you, it's just the traveling thing for me and within the budget and to try to get to those shows is very hard. And I know I can compete at that level. It's just trying to get there, you know.
Yep, I understand that. You've been hearing a lot about fix-it plates, Brian, and thinking about the inspection lists and all that other stuff, and it sounds exhausting, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's. I mean, that's, you know, to go to any show like this. I mean, where you run a heat that's basically a feature, and then you qualify and have to take something back for the feature, which is the reason you're there. I mean, there's no easy outs. I mean, there's no easy, it's rare to come out and, okay, I'm going to fill it up with gas and maybe change a tire. I mean, there's guys, rebuilding front suspensions and, we're putting new axles in. I mean, these cars get tore up, and, it's definitely not your grandfather's demolition derby anymore. I mean, these guys, they're really earning it. Between the amount of time time and money put into building a car, and then you got to figure you go to a show like this, and I mean, you have to basically bring your shop with you. I mean, you have to have your torches, your MIG, all the gas, the everything.
Well, you couldn't bring a car because your dad was in Bristol.
No, Saturday, like I said, Saturday we were in Livonia, so we were busy with that. But no, it's. I mean, you have to have a crew. You have to have guys that are dedicated to help you. These big shows are great, but guys, you really earn the stuff you get out of them. I mean, we've been to a couple of these shows now, and. I don't think we've ever seen anybody win a heat and have not much to do, and then go out and win a feature easy, and
right.
Come out of it with you're earning these big wins, that's for sure.
TJ, tell me a little bit more about the Cadillac hearse mercenary car.
So basically, I went down to Virginia, found a 72 Cadillac shortened hearse. It had been shortened by about 3 feet in the center rails. We brought it back. We started looking at what we could do. I mean, we were writing the rules for the car, so we decided we were going to play around with it a little bit. So we went ahead and clipped the front of it with a 03 and newer front frame section, which made it just absolutely nasty. It was really stupid. We plated it 1/4 inch from the firewall forward and put kickers down from the dash bar down to the front rails. And then I was like, okay, well, I know Andrew loves to drive forward. So Andrew's going to be parking into people, and I'm not sure I really want them being able to park into the rear of this, hearse. So what I did was I tied the rear bumper all the way into the cage. So the actual bumper was attached to the kicker rails from the halo bar down and off of the actual rear seat bar. And then the frame was just hanging out on top of the suspension, just for shows. And I actually think the rear end of the car was much harder, which I think I proved when I hit, compared to when Travis hit the Lincoln in the center. The rear end of the car has not moved at all. It is a wicked machine. It had a Fabry-built engine, and that's actually my small Fabry-built. So if you like what you heard there, holy cow. I mean, that is literally the smallest engine he builds. And it moved that hearse like it was nothing. Of course, front to back, front bumper to rear bumper, full SMW setup, Jeffy Fab Farm shifters in there. We got B&B Derby products giving us an awesome steering column. But other than that, it was decked out in SMW. So it had the best of the best, and it's heavy, but it moved well, and it was driven perfect.
Awesome. Guy, man, we're just about out of time. I appreciate you coming on the show. Anybody else that you wanted to make mention of?
Yeah, I have a few other guys that I've bought parts from also that worked out with me with a few things I've never tried before. I had a couple first-timer things I've done on this car. 726 Customs. Mm-hmm. They've helped me with a front motor mount / it was an oil / header protector, but I could only run the lower half. That worked out pretty good.
Nice.
And then between the shifter and my old custom header from Archibald Derby Supply, those guys actually helped me out also out of Canada.
Fantastic. Well, I was very happy to see your name on the winners list. It was good to see. I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. We're going to take a quick break, get everything saved and reset. We're going to be right back again with 352 here in just a second. Guy, man, congratulations. Keep us filled in on where you're going next. Hope to talk to you again soon about wins.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, TJ, for having me.
I think we finally lost him.
No, you're still with us.
Oh, okay.
it's unstable, but it's all right. Guy, man, appreciate you coming on. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
There goes Guy Raymond. TJ, any final thoughts?
Yes, I have two things. Drivers, you are absolutely incredible. We like to reward people for how they perform on our track. You guys are hands down what makes Dead Man, and you will be rewarded next year at No Mercy, guaranteed. But October's coming, and we have a huge announcement coming very shortly for Buried Alive 2. It's going to be off the chain. It's going to change everybody's thought process. We're adding some more money, adding a couple more classes. So be looking for that. We have a lot of big things coming up. You guys are awesome, but I'm telling you, you better be there in October. I didn't mean to point a knife. I'm sorry. I was just playing with a knife.
That escalated quickly.
That's Madison in New York. But that's all good.
Typical New York Saturday. We want you guys there. You gotta come feel and witness what we do as a production company in October.
We will be having additional conversations with you as the summer goes on. I can't wait to hear what the announcement is.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great show. Tell Mark Elliott I said hi.
We'll let him know. Thanks a lot, TJ. We'll see you soon.
Have a good one, bud.
See you now. There goes TJ. And that is going to do it for
Show number 1.
Show 1. We will be back with you here in just a few minutes. Give us a little bit to reset and regroup, and we'll see everybody again. I'd like to say next time, but it'll be in just a few minutes. We'll see you then. The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.